Her grandma sold her for a private jet. Unaware, she's the hidden lover of a millionaire CEO. Passion and love. The threads were about to tangle catastrophically, and no one, not her grandmother, not Maxwell, perhaps not even Brandon, was prepared for what would happen when Alyssa Carter stopped being everyone's pawn and started playing by her own rules. Have you ever discovered someone you trusted was willing to trade your happiness for their gain? Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Warm welcome to the family. Enjoy the story. Her grandmother had just sold her for a private jet, but little did the old woman know, Alyssa Carter was already sleeping with the most dangerous man in America. The contract lay spread across the antique mahogany desk, legal language disguising the ugly truth. Alyssa's hands trembled as she read it again. Her name, her future, her body, traded away like stock certificates in exchange for a G700 jet that would save her grandmother from financial collapse. It's a perfectly reasonable arrangement, Loretta said, voice crisp with Southern efficiency. Maxwell Stone is only 45, extremely wealthy, and needs a presentable wife for social functions. The marriage would be in name only after a suitable period. Rain lashed against the windows of the mansion, the storm matching Alyssa's internal turmoil. 6 months ago, she would have felt trapped. 6 months ago, she might have even considered it, sacrificing herself to save the family name. But 6 months ago, she hadn't yet met Brandon Pierce. You can't be serious, Alyssa finally managed, her voice barely audible over the drumming rain. You're selling me like I'm property. Loretta's spine stiffened, her silver hair perfectly coiffed despite the humidity. I'm securing our future. The Carter name still means something in Savannah. Not enough to pay your debts, apparently. Mind your tone, young lady. You've been playing nurse in New York while I've been keeping this family from complete disgrace. Alyssa's phone vibrated in her pocket, the special pattern she'd set for Brandon's messages. Her heart rate quickened as she thought of last night. His hands in her hair, his mouth on her neck, whispered promises in the darkness of his penthouse. Their secret world where she wasn't a Carter with generations of expectations. Where she was just Alyssa, loved for her mind and her fire. I won't do it, she said, crumpling the contract in her fist. Loretta's eyes narrowed. You most certainly will. You owe this family. I owe myself more. Alyssa turned toward the door, needing escape, needing air. Where do you think you're going? Loretta demanded. Back to New York. Tonight. With what money? Your scholarship barely covers tuition. Your apartment is the size of my closet. Alyssa paused, hand on the doorknob. Loretta didn't know about the penthouse, about Brandon, about nights spent in luxury that made this fading mansion seem shabby by comparison. Her secret life, her real life, was waiting. Her phone vibrated again. She glanced down to read, coming home tonight. Miss you. Home. A word that meant something entirely different now. Not this mausoleum of faded glory, but a place where she was valued, not sold. I'll manage, she said quietly, and walked out. Behind her, Loretta called, Maxwell's expecting you in Los Angeles next week. This isn't over, Alyssa. As she climbed the stairs to pack her bag, her mind raced. How had her life split into such contradictory pieces? The struggling nursing student, the secret lover of Brandon Pierce, tech billionaire and health industry revolutionary. And now, apparently, the unwilling fiancé of Maxwell Stone, Brandon's biggest corporate rival. The threads were about to tangle catastrophically, and no one, not her grandmother, not Maxwell, perhaps not even Brandon, was prepared for what would happen when Alyssa Carter stopped being everyone's pawn and started playing by her own rules. Have you ever discovered someone you trusted was willing to trade your happiness for their gain? What's your breaking point between family loyalty and self-respect? Let me know in the comments below. The first time Brandon Pierce saw Alyssa Carter, she was yelling a hospital administrator about patient neglect. Not exactly the way most women try to get a billionaire's attention. That patient has been waiting 4 hours. Her pain level is a 9, and you're telling me no doctors are available because of insurance verification. Brandon paused in the corridor, intrigued. The woman's scrubs and student badge identified her as a nursing student. not staff. Yet she stood her ground against the administrator, a man twice her age with department authority. "Miss Carter, hospital policy clearly states." "Policy doesn't trump human suffering," she fired back, Southern accent intensifying with emotion. "That woman raised 3 kids alone and works 2 jobs. She can't sit here all day while you process paperwork." The hospital corridor gleamed with that particular sterility that tries to mask suffering with cleanliness. Brandon stood back, watching the petite woman in scrubs challenge a system that treated human beings like paperwork. Fearless, despite everything she had to lose. He stepped forward. "Is there a problem here?" Both turned, the administrator's face shifting immediately from annoyance to recognition and alarm. "Mr. Pierce, we weren't expecting you until the board meeting tomorrow." Brandon ignored him, focusing instead on the nursing student. Her eyes, sharp, intelligent, and currently furious, narrowed at his intrusion. "And you are?" she asked, clearly unimpressed by his tailored suit or the administrator's deference. "Brandon Pierce, the tech guy." Her assessment was quick, dismissive. "The tech guy," he confirmed, amused. Most people tripped over themselves when they realized who he was. This woman looked like she might demand to see his ID. "Great, then you can help," she said, handing him the patient's chart. "This woman needs care now, not after this gentleman finishes his coffee." The administrator sputtered. "Miss Carter, Mr. Pierce is the CEO of Pierce Technologies. He's here to evaluate our system implementation, not deal with individual cases." Brandon scanned the chart, then looked up at her. "Alyssa Carter, according to her ID badge." "You know who I am? Someone who could fix this instead of watching," she replied, gaze unwavering. Something shifted in his chest. A recognition, a challenge accepted. He turned to the administrator. "Get this patient into an examination room immediately. Then we need to talk about your intake procedures." The man paled. "Yes, sir. Right away." As the administrator scurried off, Brandon found himself alone with the fierce nursing student. Up close, he noticed details. The dark circles under her eyes, suggesting too many double shifts, the worn edges of her scrubs, the stubborn set of her jaw. "Thank you," she said, professional now that the battle was won. "That woman doesn't deserve to suffer because of bureaucracy. No one does. That's why I built my company." She tilted her head, reassessing him. "Your patient management software is actually pretty good. The implementation, however, needs work," he finished. "That's why I'm here." An awkward silence fell. She reached for the chart in his hands, their fingers brushing briefly. A jolt of awareness passed between them, unexpected and electric. "I should get back," she said, suddenly flustered. "Of course." She turned to leave, then paused. Most CEOs don't walk hospital floors unannounced. Most nursing students don't confront administrators. A ghost of a smile touched her lips. Good thing we're not most people. 3 days later, she found the patient mysteriously transferred to the best care facility in New York, all expenses covered, and a business card with a handwritten note, "You were right." Dinner to discuss how we fixed the system. The most powerful man in health tech was asking her permission, not making demands. When was the last time someone saw past your status, whether high or low, and challenged you to be better? Drop a comment about that person who wasn't intimidated by your position. By day, she was Alyssa Carter, scholarship student with mounting debt. By night, she was becoming the only person who saw the real Brandon Pierce, and the only woman who'd ever turned down his help. "I don't need you to pay my tuition," she said, the steam from her ramen bowl rising between them like a battle flag. They sat in her tiny Brooklyn apartment, him perched uncomfortably on her secondhand futon, looking absurdly out of place in his casual clothes that probably cost more than her rent. "It's not charity, it's investment," he countered, reaching for his own bowl. "You're brilliant with patience. The healthcare system needs more advocates like you, and having the Pierce Scholarship on my resume wouldn't hurt." His eyes met hers. "That's not why I offered." "Isn't it?" She raised an eyebrow. 3 dinners, and suddenly you're funding my education? What exactly are you investing in, Brandon? The question hung between them, dangerous in its directness. 2 weeks had passed since their first dinner. A meeting that was supposed to be about hospital efficiency, but had somehow stretched into 3 hours of conversation about everything from patient care to favorite books. 2 more dinners followed, each longer than the last. And now here he was, in her space, eating cheap ramen instead of at any 5-star restaurant that would clear a table at his name. "I'm investing in someone who called me on my bullshit," he finally said. "Do you know how rare that is in my world? Everyone says yes. Everyone wants something. I want things too," she admitted. "Just not your money." His penthouse stretched above Manhattan like a kingdom in the clouds, floor-to-ceiling windows framing a city that bowed to his influence. Yet here he sat on the floor beside her, takeout containers between them, hanging on every word from a woman who owned nothing but her principles. "What do you want, Alyssa?" His voice dropped lower, the question suddenly about more than career aspirations. She set down her bowl, heart racing. In another life, a simpler one, the answer would be easy. This man fascinated her, challenged her, made her laugh unexpectedly. But their worlds were separated by more than just wealth. "I want to be taken seriously," she said finally. "Not as a charity case or a conquest." "Is that what you think this is?" "I think you're used to getting what you want. And what if what I want is just more time with you? Conversation, connection, no strings, no expectations." She studied him. This man who could buy anything, who controlled technologies used in hospitals worldwide, who had more power in his signature than most people acquired in a lifetime. Yet he sat on her scratched floor, waiting for permission like it was precious. "One condition," she said. "No more talk about paying for anything. I make my own way." He nodded, relief visible in the relaxing of his shoulders. "Agreed." Something shifted between them, a decision made without words. She leaned forward slowly, giving him plenty of time to pull back. His hands remained perfectly still as she pressed her lips to his, giving her complete control of their first kiss. It was her terms or nothing. A dynamic he'd never experienced with anyone else. Heat bloomed between them immediately, chemistry that had been building since that hospital hallway finally acknowledged. His restraint was palpable, hands carefully placed on the floor, letting her explore the connection without pressure. When she finally pulled away, breathless, he whispered against her lips, "Stay with me tonight." "I can't go to your place," she said quickly. "The doorman, the staff. No one would know. I would know. This stays private, Brandon. I won't be tabloid gossip. Just tonight then," he amended. "Here." The 3 feet to her bedroom door felt like crossing an ocean. Once she stepped across, nothing would ever be the same. Power dynamics, social worlds, her carefully constructed independence, everything would shift. She took his hand and led him across that threshold anyway. Would you rather have passionate love with complications or comfortable stability without fire? There's no right answer, but your choice says everything about what you truly value. For a woman who prided herself on honesty, Alyssa was becoming remarkably good at living 2 separate lives. Nursing student by day, billionaire's lover by night. "You left your toothbrush again," Brandon murmured against her shoulder, morning sunlight streaming through his bedroom windows. Manhattan stretched below them, already pulsing with activity while they remained cocooned in 1,000 thread-count sheets. "Did I?" she asked innocently. It was deliberate, of course. A small test. Would he mention it? Ask her to keep more things here? They've been doing this dance for nearly 2 months. And a textbook, and those fuzzy socks you like. His hand traced lazy patterns on her bare skin. Almost like you're leaving breadcrumbs to find your way back. She turned to face him, studying the morning softness that few people ever saw in Brandon Pierce. The business press called him calculating, brilliant, occasionally ruthless. They didn't know about his ridiculous sweet tooth or how he talked in his sleep. Small, vulnerable details she was collecting like treasures. "Would that bother you if I left more things here?" His answer was immediate. "I'd give you a closet, a room, whatever you want." The offer hung between them, more significant than it sounded. She kept her tiny Brooklyn apartment as cover, but each night crossed the bridge to another world, where elevators opened directly into penthouses and the man waiting for her could buy countries, but only one at a time. People would notice, she said, the same concern that had kept their relationship hidden. You're bored. The press. Let them. Easy for you to say. You're Brandon Pierce. I'd be the gold-digging nurse who seduced you. He frowned. No one who matters would think that. Everyone would think that. She sat up, sheet clutched to her chest. My instructors. Future employers. My grandmother would have a heart attack after she calculated your net worth. He reached for her, pulling her back against him. Then we keep it private. But Alyssa, I'm tired of goodbyes every morning. Stay, not just nights. Stay with me. She closed her eyes, absorbing the weight of the invitation. Living together after only 2 months was reckless. Maintaining the illusion of separate lives while sharing a home was complicated. And yet, she was exhausted from the division, from pretending in one world that the other didn't exist. My lease isn't up for 4 months, she hedged. Keep it, for appearances. But be here. Where would I tell people I live? Tell them you got a roommate situation in Manhattan, close to the hospital. Not untrue. She laughed despite herself. You're my roommate now. I'd be an excellent roommate. I make coffee. I don't leave dishes in the sink. And the bedroom benefits are exceptional. To prove his point, he shifted their positions, pinning her beneath him with gentle pressure. In the boardroom, he commanded empires with a word. But in their bedroom, he gave her every ounce of control, watching with reverent hunger as she explored his body with the same determined focus she brought to everything that mattered. Stay, he whispered again, later, as they lay breathless and tangled. She nodded against his chest. Yes. That evening, she brought a suitcase of essentials. Then another. Her books migrated to his shelves. Her coffee mug took permanent residence beside his. Small feminine touches appeared throughout the penthouse. A throw blanket here, a framed photo there. They built their hidden world carefully. She maintained her Brooklyn apartment, stopping by occasionally to collect mail. He kept their relationship off social media, away from corporate events. They were careful about public outings, choosing small restaurants in neighborhoods where neither would be recognized. 6 months of perfect secrecy, until the evening her phone rang with her grandmother's tearful voice. Alyssa, I've made a terrible mistake. I need you to come home to Savannah. Now, have you ever lived a double life, showing one face to the world and reserving your true self for just one person? What was your breaking point when worlds collided? Loretta Carter still lived in a mansion with empty bank accounts, clinging to social standing while drowning in debt. And now she'd found her perfect life raft, selling her granddaughter to the highest bidder. The Carter estate stretched across manicured acres that cost more to maintain each month than Alyssa's entire nursing program. Spanish moss hung from ancient oaks like nature's mourning veil, as if the land itself knew it was being lost to desperation. Grandmother, this place is falling apart, Alyssa observed, noting the peeling paint near the roofline, the cracked concrete on the back patio. Why won't you sell it? Carters have lived on this land for 7 generations, Loretta sniffed, pouring tea into bone china cups that probably should have been sold months ago. We don't abandon our heritage because of temporary financial inconvenience. Is that what you call bankruptcy? Inconvenience. Loretta's hand trembled slightly as she set down the teapot. I found a solution. That's why I called you home. A knock at the door interrupted them. Loretta straightened, suddenly animated. That would be Maxwell. Perfect timing. Maxwell, Alyssa asked, but her grandmother was already gliding toward the door with a hostess smile that hadn't been directed at Alyssa since her arrival. Maxwell Stone entered the parlor like he owned it, which, Alyssa realized with growing unease, might soon be literally true. Tall, expensively dressed, with the confidence of extreme wealth, he assessed the room's faded grandeur before turning his attention to its occupants. Loretta, lovely as always, he said, kissing her grandmother's cheek. Then his gaze locked onto Alyssa, a slow evaluation that made her skin crawl. And this must be your granddaughter. Alyssa, dear, come meet Maxwell Stone. He's the CEO of Stone Core Technologies. The name hit Alyssa like a physical blow. Stone Core, Brandon's most aggressive competitor, the company constantly trying to undercut Pierce Technologies on hospital contracts. "A pleasure," Maxwell said, extending his hand. Alyssa shook it briefly, mind racing. What was Brandon's rival doing in her grandmother's parlor? "Maxwell has been such a support during our difficulties," Loretta gushed. "When the bank threatened foreclosure last month, I was happy to intervene," Maxwell finished smoothly. "The Carter estate is a historical treasure. And now he's proposing a more permanent arrangement," Loretta continued, eyes bright with triumph. "One that benefits everyone." "What arrangement?" Alyssa asked, though dread was already pooling in her stomach. "Marriage," Maxwell stated simply. "Your grandmother needs financial security. I need a wife with proper background and education for social functions." "Excuse me." Alyssa's voice came out strangled. "It's the perfect solution," Loretta insisted. "Maxwell has already drawn up the terms." "Terms? For a marriage?" Maxwell smiled indulgently. "I believe in clarity, Miss Carter. The contract stipulates a 2-year minimum commitment, after which you're entitled to a generous settlement. Your family home would be preserved, your grandmother's debts cleared, and you would have a lifestyle most women dream about." "And what exactly would I provide in this arrangement?" Alyssa asked, fighting to keep her voice steady. "Companionship, social appearances, the appropriate image for a man in my position." His gaze flickered briefly down her body. "And of course, the traditional marital obligations for a reasonable period." Bile rose in Alyssa's throat. This man was old enough to be her father, a corporate shark and Brandon's direct competitor. And he was negotiating her body like a corporate acquisition. "I'm in nursing school," she said flatly, "in New York, which you can complete after we're settled," Maxwell replied. "I have connections at every major hospital." The contract sat on antique lace like a bomb on a wedding cake. Her freedom exchanged for a private jet and enough money to save her grandmother from social humiliation. "I need to think about this," Alyssa managed. "Of course," Maxwell said magnanimously, "but not too long. I'll need your answer before I leave for Los Angeles next week." His hand lingered too long on her shoulder as he passed. "I'm looking forward to getting to know you better, Alyssa." As Maxwell's hand lingered too long on her shoulder, her phone vibrated in her pocket. Brandon, unaware his lover was being traded like commodity. "Can't wait to see you tomorrow. I have something important to ask you." The weight of her secrets suddenly felt unbearable. Family loyalty has limits. Where do you draw the line between helping those who raised you and protecting your own future? "I'm curious where your boundaries lie." She flew back to New York with a terrible choice burning in her pocket. Save her grandmother from ruin, or tell the man she was falling in love with that her family was trading her to his biggest corporate enemy. The elevator ride to Brandon's penthouse felt endless. Every floor that lit up on the panel brought her closer to a decision point. Tell him everything? Hide the arrangement and figure it out alone? The contract remained folded in her purse, a paper bomb waiting to explode their carefully constructed happiness. When the doors opened directly into the penthouse, Brandon was waiting with champagne and that smile that still made her heart skip. "Welcome home," he said, kissing her softly. "I missed you." Home. The word twisted in her chest. The penthouse that had become her sanctuary now felt like a beautiful trap, every luxury a reminder of what separated their worlds, his built on power and choice. Hers, still chained to obligations and family debts she never agreed to pay. "How's your grandmother?" he asked, guiding her to the sofa. "You didn't say much on the phone." "She's..." Alyssa searched for words. "Desperate? Manipulative? Willing to sell her only granddaughter? Struggling financially. The estate is underwater." Brandon nodded sympathetically. "Old Southern families often have trouble adapting. Does she need help?" "I could." "No." Alyssa cut him off too sharply. It's just complicated. Carter pride and all that." He studied her face. Something else happened down there. It wasn't a question. Brandon had an uncanny ability to read her moods, to sense when she was holding back. It was one of the things she loved about him, and right now, one of the most dangerous. "Just family stress," she deflected, reaching for the champagne. "Why are we celebrating?" He let her change the subject. but his eyes held concern. "I wanted tonight to be special. I have news and something to ask you." Her stomach dropped. The mysterious, important question from his text. Was he going to propose? The timing couldn't be worse. "What news?" she asked, voice carefully neutral. "Pierce Technologies just secured the National Hospital System contract. We beat out Stone Core by presenting better patient outcome data." Maxwell Stone's face flashed in her mind, his confident smile as he discussed marrying her, using her, while plotting to destroy Brandon's company. The man who expected to own her body was actively working to ruin the man who treasured her mind. "That's wonderful," she managed, raising her glass. "You deserve it. It's not just me. Your insights about patient experience factored heavily into our proposal." The board was impressed. Pride warred with panic in her chest. She'd helped Brandon defeat Maxwell without knowing it. If Maxwell discovered her relationship with Brandon now, Brandon set down his glass and took her hands. "Alyssa, these past months have been the happiest of my life. You've changed how I see everything. My work, my purpose, my future." No, not now. Not when she was still carrying Maxwell's contract in her purse. She pulled him into a kiss, desperate to delay whatever was coming next. He responded immediately, his surprise melting into desire as she climbed onto his lap, hands working at his shirt buttons. "Alyssa," he murmured against her mouth. "I wanted to talk." "Later," she whispered, pulling him toward the bedroom. "I just need to feel you right now." She pulled him to her with unusual urgency, her kisses almost desperate, as if memorizing him. "What's wrong?" he whispered against her neck. "Nothing," she lied. "I just need to feel you right now." The half-truth tasted bitter, even as his touch made her forget everything else. Hours later, with Brandon sleeping peacefully beside her, Alyssa slipped from bed. Her purse sat in the entryway, the contract still hidden inside. But something else caught her eye, Brandon's suit jacket draped over a chair. Without letting herself think, she reached into the inner pocket, fingers closing around a small velvet box. Her heart hammered as she opened it to reveal a platinum and emerald ring, breathtaking in its elegance. She closed it with trembling fingers, knowing now what his important question would be, and knowing her answer would destroy everything. We all withhold truths to protect people we care about. But when does protection become betrayal? Share a time when keeping a secret backfired in your relationships. Brandon Pierce hadn't built a technology empire by being oblivious to deception, which is why he had already discovered her grandmother's arrangement before Alyssa found the courage to tell him. "Were you going to mention it?" His voice cut through the penthouse living room 3 days after her return from Savannah. He stood by the windows, silhouetted against the Manhattan skyline, a tablet in his hand. "Mention what?" she asked, setting down her nursing textbook. The New York skyline stretched behind him like a kingdom as he placed the photos on the coffee table. Maxwell Stone arriving at her grandmother's estate, the contract, the jet documentation. His face remained perfectly composed, but his eyes burned with a cold fire she'd never seen before. "How long have you known about Maxwell Stone's proposal?" he asked, voice dangerously soft. "How did you get these?" she countered, staring at the surveillance photos. "That's your question? Not why you've been hiding this from me for days." Alyssa's hands shook as she looked through the images. Every moment of her visit to Savannah documented with clinical precision. "You had me followed?" "I had Stone followed," Brandon corrected. "He's been making moves against my company for months. When his private jet flew to Savannah instead of Silicon Valley, my security team took notice." "So what? You spy on competitors and accidentally caught me in the net." "Don't deflect. Were you going to tell me that my chief competitor is trying to buy you?" The accusation hung between them, ugly and raw. The distance between them felt insurmountable. Him standing rigid by the windows, her frozen on the couch, the evidence of her secrets splayed across the coffee table. "I was trying to figure out how to handle it," she said finally. "Handle it?" His laugh held no humor. "What exactly is there to handle, Alyssa? Either you're considering his offer or you're not. It's not that simple. My grandmother is about to lose everything. The estate has been in our family for generations. And that's worth selling yourself to Stone? A man who'd use you to get to me." She stood up, anger flaring. Not everything is about you, Brandon. This started because my grandmother is desperate. She doesn't even know about us. Are you sure about that? His eyes narrowed. The timing is convenient. I announce a major contract went over Stone Core, and suddenly Stone wants to marry my girlfriend. I'm not just your girlfriend. I existed before you, with family and problems that have nothing to do with your corporate wars. Did you think I wouldn't find out? He asked, voice dangerously soft. Or did you think I wouldn't care that another man was trying to buy what's mine? The possessive phrasing ignited something primal in her chest. I'm not yours to own any more than I'm yours to purchase, she whispered, tears flowing freely now. That's exactly the problem. His laugh held no humor. I don't want to own you, Alyssa. I want to marry you. But now I have to ask, was any of this real? The question landed like a physical blow. How can you ask me that? How can I not? I find out my girlfriend is entertaining a marriage proposal from my biggest competitor, and she doesn't think to mention it. I wasn't entertaining it. I was trying to protect my grandmother without involving you in my family mess. By keeping secrets, by hiding things that affect both of us. You're tracking my movements, having me photographed. Where's the trust in that? Brandon ran a hand through his hair, his composure finally cracking. I trusted you completely until 3 days ago. Now I find out you've been hiding something that affects not just our relationship, but potentially my entire company. What does that mean? It means Maxwell Stone doesn't do anything without calculating every angle. If he marries you, he gets leverage over me. Access to insider information. A way to destabilize Pierce Technologies from the inside. The realization washed over her in a cold wave. Of course, Maxwell hadn't chosen her randomly. Somehow, he knew about her relationship with Brandon. I would never betray you, she said quietly. Maybe not intentionally, but if he has your grandmother under his thumb, what choice would you have? The question hung between them, impossible to answer. Brandon moved closer, his anger softening into something more painful, doubt. I need to know what you want, Alyssa. Not what your grandmother wants. Not what obligation demands. What do you want? I want you, she whispered. I've only ever wanted you. But my family will use that loyalty against you forever if you let them. He took her hands gently. I can help with the estate, with your grandmother's debts, but only if you let me in completely. No more secrets. Was any of this real? He asked again, softer now. Her tears flowed freely. Everything with you has been the only real thing in my life. When someone you love discovers your betrayal, is it better to have told them yourself first, or does the outcome remain the same? I'm curious what your experience has taught you. She had spent months keeping her world separate, but now they were colliding with catastrophic force. And the only way forward was truth so painful it might cost her everything. My mother died when I was 8. Car accident. Alyssa began, seated cross-legged on the living room floor. My father followed 6 months later. Heart attack, though the neighbor said it was really heartbreak. Brandon sat opposite her, listening intently as she finally shared the full story of her life before him. Grandmother took me in, not out of love, out of duty. Carters don't let family end up in foster care. It would cause talk. Dawn broke over Manhattan as they sat on opposite ends of the sofa, coffee gone cold between them. Hours of truth-telling had left her voice raw and his eyes shadowed. The distance between them both physical and vast. She sent me to the right schools, bought the right clothes, made sure I knew which fork to use at formal dinners. But there was always a calculation. I was an investment in the Carter legacy. And nursing school? Was that her plan too? Alyssa shook her head. My rebellion. She wanted me to marry into Atlanta society, secure the family position. When I chose New York and nursing instead, she nearly disowned me. Until she needed you, Brandon observed. Until her debts became too big to hide. The estate taxes, the maintenance costs, the lifestyle she can't give up. Alyssa sighed. I thought moving away meant freedom. I didn't realize I was still chained to expectations that were never mine to begin with. Brandon's gaze was steady, processing everything she shared. And Maxwell, first I've ever heard of him. But grandmother has always moved in wealthy circles, trading on the Carter name, even as the bank accounts emptied. She must have positioned me as an asset long before he showed up with a contract. The contract that you were going to consider? Reject? What was your plan, Alyssa? She met his gaze directly. I was going to tell her no, find another way to help with the debts. Then I found a ring in your pocket, and everything got more complicated. How does my wanting to marry you complicate things? His voice held genuine confusion. Because I'm bringing nothing but problems into your life. A desperate grandmother. Family debt. Now your corporate rival is involved. Your board would have a field day if they knew. Brandon moved closer, the first sign of thawing between them. Do you think I care what my board thinks about who I love? You should. You've built something incredible, something that helps people. I won't be the reason it gets damaged. Then help me fight, not by hiding things, but by standing with me. He reached across the space between them, hand hovering above hers, waiting for permission. When he finally moved beside her, his hand covering hers felt like crossing a minefield. I don't want to be another person trying to control you, he said, thumb tracing her knuckles. But I can't stand by while they sell you like property either. What can we even do? If I directly refuse Maxwell, he'll foreclose on the estate. Grandmother will be homeless and blame me forever. Or we face him together. Call his bluff. That puts your company at risk. Brandon's eyes hardened. Maxwell Stone has been trying to take down Pierce Technologies for years. This is just his latest tactic. Using you gets to me personally and professionally. How would he even know about us? We've been so careful. Money buys information. Maybe he had you followed. Maybe someone at my building talked. It doesn't matter now. Let me handle this, he said, the CEO voice returning as he reached for his phone. No, she grabbed his wrist. If Maxwell discovers we're together, he'll destroy you publicly. This needs to be my fight. His smile was all predator. Sweetheart, he's already coming for me. The question is, do we let him think he's winning until we're ready? She stared at him, understanding dawning. You want to set a trap? I want to give him exactly what he thinks he wants, and then watch him crash when he realizes what he's really up against. Which is what? Not just me. Us. Together. He squeezed her hand. If you're willing to fight with me instead of for me. Is there someone in your life worth fighting for even after betrayal? Or do you believe trust, once broken, can never be fully restored? Share your perspective. The Southern debutante and the tech billionaire had one thing in common. When pushed, they didn't just fight back, they changed the entire game. So I pretend to accept Maxwell's proposal. Alyssa clarified, pacing the penthouse living room. Let him think he's won. Brandon nodded, fingers flying across his laptop keyboard. Meanwhile, we prepare a counter-strategy that not only protects your grandmother's estate, but teaches Maxwell the cost of trying to use you against me. And my grandmother? She'll never agree to anything that doesn't involve me marrying money. That's why we don't tell her the truth yet. As far as she knows, you're reluctantly agreeing to Maxwell's arrangement. His corporate war room transformed as Alyssa mapped out Southern social dynamics on digital screens, teaching a Silicon Valley titan how old money thought, how family shame worked, and exactly how to spring a trap that would humiliate Maxwell without destroying her grandmother. The most important thing to understand about old Southern families, Alyssa explained, pulling up images of Savannah society, is that appearance trumps reality every time. My grandmother would rather lose everything privately than face public humiliation. And Maxwell knows this. He's counting on it. The contract is designed to save face for everyone. She gets financial rescue. He gets a socially acceptable wife. I get. Sold, Brandon finished flatly. Exactly. But Maxwell has one weakness, his ego. He wants to beat you publicly, to show he can take something you value. Brandon's eyes narrowed. So we give him a chance to try. For 3 days, they planned meticulously. Brandon had his legal team create documents that appear to transfer ownership of the Carter estate to a holding company, one that would ultimately be controlled by Alyssa, not her grandmother or Maxwell. Meanwhile, Alyssa called Maxwell to reluctantly accept his proposal on the condition they meet in Los Angeles to finalize arrangements. He bought it, she reported, hanging up the phone. We meet next Thursday at his private airfield to sign papers and announce our engagement. Brandon's smile was calculating. Perfect. My team will be ready. The tension of planning, of impending confrontation, charged the air between them. That night, after finalizing details, Alyssa found herself watching Brandon as he sent final instructions to his security team. The power he wielded so casually, the focused intensity of his mind. It was intoxicating. "What?" he asked, catching her stare. She crossed the room without answering, taking his phone and setting it aside. Plans and power were their aphrodisiac. Strategy sessions ending with clothes scattered across financial projections. "We shouldn't," she gasped as he cleared the desk with one sweep of his arm. His smile was wicked against her throat. "We absolutely should. Partners in everything, remember?" Later, wrapped in his arms on the office sofa, she voiced her remaining fear. "What if something goes wrong? Maxwell isn't stupid. No, but he's predictable. Men like him always believe they're the smartest in the room. That's their fatal flaw." "And what's yours?" she asked, tracing patterns on his chest. He captured her hand, expression serious. "Loving you enough to risk everything." The night before flying to Los Angeles, where Maxwell waited to finalize the arrangement, Brandon slid a small velvet. Inside gleamed an emerald ring worth more than her grandmother's entire estate. "Wear it tomorrow. Let him see exactly who you really belong to." She lifted the ring, its weight substantial. "Won't this tip our hand too early?" "No, you'll keep it hidden until exactly the right moment. Trust me, I've timed this down to the second." As she slipped the ring into her pocket, a new confidence filled her. For the first time since discovering her grandmother's betrayal, she felt in control of her own story. "Maxwell Stone won't know what hit him," she promised. Brandon's answering smile was dangerous. "Neither will anyone else. They say revenge is a dish best served cold, but sometimes justice needs witnesses. Would you prefer private vindication or public restoration of your reputation? Tell me what you value more." Maxwell Stone thought he was purchasing a nursing student. He never expected to find himself facing the secret fiancé of Brandon Pierce, with cameras capturing his humiliation for the entire world to see. The private airfield gleamed under California's sun. Maxwell's G700 jet, a white monument to excess behind him. His smile of victory froze as Brandon's helicopter descended like an avenging angel, stirring dust across freshly polished Italian shoes. "What the hell is this?" Maxwell demanded as Alyssa stepped from the car she'd arrived in separately for their plan. "Who invited Pierce?" "I did," Alyssa replied calmly, watching Maxwell's confidence falter for the first time. "I thought all parties should be present for the final negotiation." Maxwell's eyes darted between them, calculation replacing shock. "I see. Pierce made a counteroffer. Well, that's just business. Name your price, Brandon." Brandon stepped forward, hand possessively at Alyssa's waist. "She's not for sale. Not to you. Not to anyone." "Everyone has a price," Maxwell insisted, "especially Southern families facing bankruptcy." "That's where you're wrong," Brandon replied. "Some things actually are priceless." Loretta Carter emerged from Maxwell's jet, her face collapsing in horror at the sight of Brandon. "Alyssa, what is the meaning of this? You're jeopardizing everything." "No, grandmother. I'm fixing everything. Your way. My way would have saved our home. Our legacy. Your way would have sold your granddaughter to a man who only wanted her to get to me." Brandon interjected coolly. Maxwell's expression shifted as understanding dawned. "How long?" he asked, eyes fixed on the proprietary way Brandon stood beside Alyssa. 6 months, she answered. "Long before you decided to use me as a corporate pawn." The calculated humiliation on Maxwell's face might have been satisfying if Alyssa hadn't caught the genuine devastation on her grandmother's. Whatever her faults, Loretta truly believed she was saving their family the only way she knew how. "You've been living a lie," Loretta accused, pretending to struggle while secretly. "With him, I never lied about struggling. I worked for everything I earned. The only thing I kept secret was my heart." Brandon tossed the title deed to an even larger jet onto the table between them. "She's not for sale," he said, voice carrying to the deliberately planted cameras, "because she already belongs to me." With practiced timing, Alyssa revealed the emerald ring now adorning her finger. The flash of green caught the California sunlight, impossible to miss, as were the cameras now emerging from discreet positions around the airfield. "What is this?" Maxwell hissed, noticing the press for the first time. "Insurance," Brandon replied quietly. "Against whatever retribution you're already planning." Indeed, photographers had materialized as if by magic, capturing the tableau. Maxwell's thunderous expression, Loretta's shock, Brandon and Alyssa's united front. By nightfall, every business publication and gossip blog would carry the story, not of a failed corporate acquisition, but of a love that triumphed over manipulation. "You've made an enemy today," Maxwell warned under his breath. "You made that choice when you tried to buy someone I love," Brandon replied evenly. Loretta collapsed into a nearby chair, the full weight of her miscalculation evident. "The estate is safe," Alyssa assured her. "We've created a foundation to preserve it. You'll retain lifetime residency rights, but ownership transfers to a historical conservation trust. You're taking my home. I'm saving it, grandmother. The only way it can be saved, by removing it from the cycle of debt and desperation that's been driving your decisions." As cameras continued to flash around them, capturing what would become a viral business world scandal, Brandon led Alyssa toward his waiting helicopter. Behind them, Maxwell conferred urgently with his attorneys, already working on damage control. But their victory dance was short-lived. As the media frenzy erupted around them, Alyssa's phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. "Congratulations on your engagement. Too bad Brandon doesn't know who he's really marrying. Check your email for proof of what you did 5 years ago." The past she'd buried was about to surface, and not even Brandon could protect her from it. Have you ever witnessed someone who thought they held all the power suddenly lose everything? There's a special satisfaction in seeing justice served publicly. Share a time you saw someone get exactly what they deserved. The woman America was suddenly fascinated by, the nurse who captured a billionaire's heart, had a secret buried so deep she'd almost convinced herself it never happened. Their victory celebration in his LA penthouse turned to ash as she stared at her phone, color draining from her face. Outside, the city lights blurred through tears she couldn't explain to the man watching her with growing concern. "Alyssa," Brandon set down his champagne glass, crossing the room to where she stood frozen. "What's wrong?" She couldn't speak, couldn't move, could barely breathe as she stared at the email that had just arrived. A police report, medical records, photos from a hospital security camera, evidence of the worst night of her life, the night she'd fought to forget for 5 years. "Hey," he gently took the phone from her trembling hand, then stopped short when he saw the screen. "What is this?" "Someone knows," she whispered, "about what happened at Atlanta Memorial." Brandon scrolled through the documents, his expression growing darker with each swipe. "Who sent this?" "I don't know, but the timing—" "Maxwell," Brandon concluded, jaw tightening. "This is his counter-move." She sank onto the sofa, legs no longer able to support her. The meticulously constructed life she'd built was collapsing around her. First her grandmother's betrayal, now this resurrection of buried shame. "Talk to me," Brandon urged, sitting beside her without touching her. He'd noticed her physical withdrawal, the way she hugged herself protectively. "Whatever this is, we'll handle it." When he reached for her that night, she flinched, the first time his touch had ever made her recoil. "Talk to me," he whispered, hand hovering above her skin without making contact. "Whatever it is, we face it together." "You don't understand," she said hollowly. "This could ruin everything. Your company, your reputation. You're in healthcare technology. If people find out your fiancé found herself in a difficult situation, made a mistake, is human." He shook his head. "Nothing in these documents changes how I feel about you. You say that now. But when the press gets hold of this, and Maxwell will make sure of it. Everyone will see me differently. The gold-digging nurse with a criminal past. There are no criminal charges here," Brandon pointed out, scanning the documents again. "An incident report, a disciplinary hearing that cleared you." "What exactly happened, Alyssa?" The memory washed over her, as fresh as if it had happened yesterday instead of 5 years ago. Her first clinical rotation. The overcrowded emergency department. The patient who needed pain medication and the tired resident who verbally gave the wrong dosage. Almost killed someone, she admitted, voice barely audible. A medication error during my training. The resident told me to give 10 milligrams of morphine. The standard dose is 1 milligram. I knew it sounded wrong, but he was the doctor, and I was just a student, and the department was chaos that night. Brandon listened without interruption as she recounted how she'd questioned the order, been sharply overruled, and administered the medication. How the patient had immediately crashed. How the resident had instantly blamed her, claiming he'd said 1 milligram, not 10. The patient survived, she continued. But there was an investigation. The resident's word against mine. No witnesses because of how busy the department was. But you were cleared, Brandon noted. It says so right here. After I agreed to take full responsibility for misunderstanding the verbal order, she quoted bitterly. The resident's father was chief of surgery. My word against the hospital dynasty. I took the blame, completed additional training, and was allowed to continue in the program if I transferred schools. So you came to New York. She nodded. Started over. New school, new city, where no one knew me as the nursing student who nearly killed a patient. That's not a crime, Alyssa. That's a broken system that sets students up to fail, then punishes them for it. It gets worse, she whispered. The security footage. The part they don't have. What I did afterward. Brandon waited, his face carefully neutral as she gathered courage for the real confession. 5 years ago, she finally whispered, I made a mistake that could destroy everything we've built. Someone nearly died because of me. His face remained impassive, but his pulse at his throat betrayed his shock. Tell me everything, he said, starting with who's blackmailing you. We all have chapters of our story we hope never get read aloud. What's the difference between privacy and secrecy? Between shame and regret? Share your thoughts on which burdens we should carry alone. As a nursing student in her first year, Alyssa had made a medication error that nearly killed a patient, but that wasn't the secret threatening to destroy her. It was what she'd done afterward to protect herself. Dawn broke over Los Angeles as she finished speaking. The weight of 5 years of silence finally lifted. The hotel suite felt both too large and suffocatingly small. The space between them on the sofa, an ocean neither knew how to cross. After the patient stabilized, I went back to check the medication log. Alyssa continued, voice hollow with remembered fear. I was terrified, certain I'd be expelled, possibly even face criminal charges. The resident had already told his version, that I misheard him. Brandon remained silent, letting her speak without interruption. The medication log showed the order as 1 milligram, not the 10 he verbally instructed. He'd already altered the electronic record, but there was also a paper backup chart at the bedside. She closed her eyes, the shame of the memory washing over her. I changed it, crossed out the 10 I'd written, and made it look like 1 with a decimal point. I falsified a medical record. I falsified records, she concluded, voice hollow. The patient recovered, but I committed a crime to protect myself. If this gets out, my healthcare company would be aligned with someone who covered up medical negligence, he finished, CEO voice returning. The weight of her confession hung between them. Brandon stood and walked to the window, staring out at the Los Angeles skyline as morning light touched the buildings. Did anyone see you change the record? He finally asked. No, the department was in chaos. That's why the hearing ultimately cleared me. No conclusive evidence either way. But the security footage they're threatening to release might show me at the record station. If enhanced, analyzed, it could show you altering documentation, he finished. But it doesn't show what you wrote or why. Does it matter? The story writes itself. Desperate student covers up mistake, gets cleared on technicality, now engaged a healthcare tech CEO. People will assume I got away with endangering a patient, and now I've scored a billionaire. Brandon turned back to her, his expression thoughtful rather than judgmental. Who knows about this? The full story, not just the official version. No one, not even my grandmother. I never told anyone about changing the record. Until me. She nodded, unable to meet his eyes. I understand if you want to end things. Your company is built on medical safety, on preventing exactly these kinds of errors. Being associated with me could damage everything you've built." His silence stretched until she couldn't bear it. "I'll understand if you want me gone," she whispered. When he finally looked up, his expression was unreadable. "Pack your things," he said quietly. "We're flying back to New York tonight. I need to show you something I should have shared months ago." She blinked, confused by his response. "That's it? You're not angry?" "I'm furious," he clarified, "but not at you. At a system that forces 20-year-old students to carry the weight of life or death decisions with inadequate support. At hierarchies that protect the powerful and sacrifice the vulnerable. At the culture of fear that makes covering up mistakes seem like the only option for survival." He crossed the room and knelt before her, taking her hands. "Do you know why I started Pierce Technologies? The real reason." She shook her head. "Then it's time you learned exactly what we're fighting for. Together, everyone deserves a second chance. But does everyone deserve to escape consequences? At what point do our past mistakes define us versus refine us? I'm curious where you draw that line." The secret Brandon Pierce had built his entire empire to atone for was about to collide with a mistake Alyssa had spent 5 years running from, proving they were more alike than either could have imagined. His private office occupied the entire top floor of Pierce Technologies, but he bypassed the executive suite for a small memorial room hidden behind frosted glass. Inside, a simple photograph of a smiling woman, his mother, surrounded by screens displaying real-time medical safety data from hospitals worldwide. "Elizabeth Pierce," Brandon said softly. "High school English teacher, mother of 2, dead at 43 because a doctor prescribed the wrong medication and no one caught the error." Alyssa's breath caught. "Your mother died from medication error? Similar to yours, but with no one to intervene." The hospital covered it up, listed cause of death as complications from pneumonia. "My father knew something was wrong, fought for answers, but hit walls everywhere. He died still fighting 3 years later." Brandon touched one of the screens, bringing up data from a hospital in Oregon. Pierce Technologies didn't start as a healthcare company. It began as a data mining operation to prove what happened to my mother wasn't an isolated incident. "You were looking for patterns," Alyssa realized. "I found them. Thousands of preventable deaths, hidden behind bureaucracy and fear. But I also found something else. Healthcare workers trapped in systems designed to make errors inevitable, then punished when they occur." He pulled up another screen, a secure database with hundreds of testimonials from nurses, doctors, pharmacists, and students. "For the past 5 years, we've been quietly building a whistleblower protection program. A safe space for healthcare workers to report near misses, errors, and system failures without fear of retribution. Their stories inform our technology development, creating safeguards that prevent errors before they happen." Alyssa stared at the testimonials, many eerily similar to her own experience. "You've been collecting these? Why?" "Because punishing individuals doesn't fix broken systems. Because shame and fear drive problems underground instead of solving them." He turned to her, his gaze intense. "And because I believe the only way to honor my mother's death is to protect others from the same fate." The pieces clicked into place. Why Brandon had been in the hospital the day they met, why he'd been so drawn to her advocacy for patients, why her nursing insights mattered so much to his company strategy. "Your company isn't just about efficiency," she whispered. "It's about justice and prevention. Every error reported is a potential life saved." He took her hands. "What happened to you in Atlanta? Being forced to take blame, altering records out of fear, it's exactly why our healthcare system keeps failing. Not because of bad people, but because good people are placed in impossible situations." He pressed her against the wall outside the memorial room, their bodies finding each other with desperate need. "We're both broken by the same system," he breathed against her neck. "That's why I needed you. Why I'll always need you." Her surrender was immediate, clothes discarded as they reclaimed each other among the shadows of their matched pain. Afterward, as they lay breathless on the office sofa, Alyssa felt a weight lift from her chest. "So what do we do about Maxwell?" about the threat. We face it, on our terms, with our narrative. You want to go public? About my mistake, about our mission, about why Pierce Technologies exists, about how your experience exemplifies exactly what we're fighting to change. She sat up alarmed. Brandon, that's too risky. Your shareholders need to understand what this company truly stands for. We're not just a tech firm. We're a movement to transform how medicine handles human error. The boldness of his vision stunned her. Where she saw career-ending scandal, he saw opportunity for systemic change. You'd risk your company for this? For you? Yes. But it's not a risk, it's alignment. Pierce Technologies has always been about preventing tragedies like what happened to my mother and your patient. Now we make that mission explicit. As they lay breathless on the office sofa, his phone rang with the call they'd been dreading. It's Maxwell, he said, glancing at the screen. And he's not alone. The medical board is with him. Her past wasn't just threatening their relationship anymore. It was coming for his entire legacy. Sometimes the very thing we're most ashamed of becomes our deepest connection to another person. Have you ever discovered someone carried the same wounds you thought you had to hide? Share how that changed everything. Maxwell Stone thought exposing Alyssa's medical error would destroy Brandon Pierce's empire. Instead, it became the catalyst for the healthcare revolution Brandon had been quietly building for years. The press conference assembled with emergency speed, cameras broadcasting worldwide as Brandon took the podium, Alyssa standing tall beside him. Behind them, screens displayed statistics on medical errors, the third leading cause of death in America, killing more people than car accidents. Today, Brandon began, his voice steady and strong. Pierce Technologies is announcing a major new initiative, one that's deeply personal to me and to the woman who will soon be my wife. Camera shutters clicked rapidly, capturing the united front they presented. Brandon had insisted Alyssa wear her engagement ring prominently, a visual reminder that whatever came next, they faced it together. Some of you received information about a medical incident involving Alyssa Carter during her nursing training. This was sent to manipulate and damage us. His eyes found Maxwell Stone in the audience, a silent acknowledgement of battle joined. But those who sought to harm us have instead given us a platform to announce the initiative we've been developing for years. Brandon's voice carried across the silent room. Today, Pierce Technologies announces the launch of our Medical Truth and Reconciliation Program, offering immunity and support to healthcare workers who come forward about errors. And our first participant, he reached for Alyssa's hand, is the woman who inspired it all. Alyssa stepped forward, heart pounding but voice clear as she told her story. The overcrowded ER, the medication error, the cover-up born of fear. I made 2 mistakes that night, she concluded. The first was a system failure, a verbal order in a chaotic environment with inadequate safeguards. The second was mine alone, altering a record out of fear of punishment rather than focusing on improvement. The room remained silent, journalists frantically taking notes rather than shouting questions. My experience is not unique, she continued. Every day, healthcare workers face impossible choices between acknowledging mistakes and protecting their careers. This culture of fear doesn't make patients safer. It drives problems underground where they can't be fixed. Brandon returned to the podium. Pierce Technologies has always been about preventing medical errors. Now we're addressing the human element. Our new program offers confidential reporting, legal protection, and system redesign based on frontline experiences. He gestured to the screens behind him, which now displayed the faces of healthcare workers who had agreed to share their stories. We've already collected over 5,000 testimonials from professionals worldwide. Each represents a learning opportunity, a chance to fix broken processes before more patients are harmed. The brilliance of the strategy became clear as journalists began raising hand with questions, not about scandal, but about the program itself. By embracing Alyssa's past mistake as part of a larger mission, Brandon had transformed potential disaster into powerful purpose. Maxwell Stone sat rigid in his chair, watching his attack backfire spectacularly. What should have been Brandon's downfall was becoming his defining moment as a healthcare visionary. This initiative will include anonymous reporting channels, legal advocacy for whistleblowers, and technology redesign informed by real-world experiences, Brandon continued. We're partnering with 20 major hospital systems for the initial rollout, with more joining weekly. The press conference stretched to nearly 2 hours as healthcare correspondents dug into the details of the program. Throughout, Alyssa and Brandon remained united, finishing each other's sentences, presenting a vision born from their matched wounds. As Alyssa stepped forward to tell her story publicly for the first time, Loretta Carter pushed through security at the back of the room, tears streaming down her aristocratic face. "My granddaughter," she announced to anyone who would listen, "is about to ruin everything we've built." But her voice was lost in the growing excitement of the room, as journalists recognized they were witnessing not a scandal, but a transformation in how healthcare approached human error. Maxwell Stone slipped out before the conference ended, his weapon turned against him, his attempted destruction converted into creation. He would regroup, find another angle of attack, but for today at least, Brandon and Alyssa had won more than a battle. They had changed the conversation entirely. Sometimes our greatest failures become our most powerful purpose. What mistake have you made that later became the foundation for something meaningful? I'd love to hear your transformation story. The woman who once tried to sell her granddaughter for a private jet now stood witness as Alyssa turned personal shame into public redemption and finally understood the true meaning of legacy. 6 months after the press conference that changed everything, the Carter estate hosted a different kind of gathering. Tables spread across lawns where Southern aristocracy mingled with healthcare workers, tech innovators, and patient advocates. Above them, the Spanish moss swayed with new purpose, no longer a mourning veil, but a canopy for celebration. "I still can't believe you chose to marry here," Loretta murmured, adjusting Alyssa's veil in the upstairs bedroom that had once been her childhood prison. "After everything, some things are worth reclaiming," Alyssa replied, watching her grandmother's hands smooth invisible wrinkles from white silk. The months since Los Angeles had transformed their relationship. Not instantly, not easily, but profoundly. The program Brandon announced, it's helped 20,000 people already, Loretta said, pride evident in her voice. The same pride that once centered on social standing now focused on impact. That reporter from the New York Times called you revolutionary. Alyssa smiled, remembering how her grandmother had initially reacted to the press conference. Horror at public admission of mistakes, shock at the dismantling of appearances. But then the letters started coming. Thousands of them, from healthcare workers and patients alike, thanking Alyssa for her courage, for making hidden struggles visible. "Your parents would be proud," Loretta said softly, the first time she'd ever suggested Alyssa's choices would meet their approval. "I wasn't always. I didn't understand what mattered." "Neither did I," Alyssa admitted. "I was running from shame for so long, I couldn't see the purpose hiding inside it." A knock at the door interrupted their moment. Brandon's sister, Jennifer, peeked in. "Everyone's ready. Brandon's about to wear a path in the grass pacing." Alyssa laughed, picturing her soon-to-be husband, the man who commanded boardrooms and transformed industries, nervous about a ceremony that simply confirmed what they already knew. They were meant to rebuild the world together. The wedding itself passed in a blur of emotion. Vows exchanged beneath ancient oaks, witnessed by an unlikely congregation united by a shared vision. Maxwell Stone had disappeared from public view after his failed attack, his company now struggling against the wave of positive press surrounding Pierce Technologies. The medical board that had once cleared Alyssa on technicality now partnered with their Truth and Reconciliation program, creating pathways for errors to become learning opportunities rather than career-ending disasters. The Carter estate, nearly lost to pride and financial desperation, now housed a training center for healthcare advocates. As evening fell, Brandon led Alyssa away from the reception toward the renovated carriage house at the edge of the property. "Mrs. Pierce," he murmured, closing the door behind them. "Has a nice ring to it." "So does Mr. Carter," she teased back. They had chosen to hyphenate, another symbol of their equal partnership. "From the moment you yelled at that hospital administrator," he whispered, removing her jewelry with reverent hands. "I knew you were the one person brave enough to help me change everything." Their wedding night unfolded in the renovated carriage house, once a symbol of faded Southern glory, now transformed like everything else in their wake. "From a moment you yelled at that hospital administrator," he whispered, removing her jewelry with reverent hands, "I knew you were the one person brave enough to help me change everything." Her body arched toward him. No more secrets, no more separate worlds. As they lay together afterward, watching moonlight filter through windows that once held only darkness, Alyssa reflected on the journey that had brought them here. From a desperate nursing student to a healthcare advocate, from a man driven by hidden grief to a leader transforming an industry, from separate wounds to shared purpose. "We should expand the program internationally," she murmured against his chest, "starting with developing countries where reporting systems don't exist at all." Brandon laughed softly, fingers tracing patterns on her bare shoulder. "Already thinking about work on our wedding night? Not work. Legacy. The real kind. Not properties or names, but lives changed." "My mother would have liked you," he said quietly. "She always said mistakes were just lessons we hadn't understood yet." Outside, the celebration continued, voices carrying across the grounds where Alyssa had once felt trapped by expectations and family obligations. Now, those same acres represented possibility, ground zero for a movement that began with two people brave enough to transform personal pain into public purpose. "Your grandmother asked about our future plans," Brandon mentioned. "I think she was fishing for information about grandchildren." Alyssa smiled. "What did you tell her?" "That some announcements deserve their own moment, not to be overshadowed by weddings." She propped herself up on one elbow, studying his face in the moonlight. "You mean?" His hand moved to rest gently against her stomach. "Unless the doctor was wrong last week." "No," she whispered, joy expanding her chest. "Not wrong. Just our secret to share when we're ready." He pulled her close, their heartbeats synchronizing in the quiet of their private sanctuary. The past that had nearly destroyed them now formed the foundation of their future. Proof that even the deepest wounds could become conduits for healing, not just for themselves, but for thousands of others walking similar paths. "From shame to purpose," she murmured. "Full circle." "No, Brandon directly," spiraling upward, each turn bringing us higher than before. We've reached the end of Alyssa and Brandon's journey from secrets to truth, from shame to purpose. What part of their story resonated most with you? Was it the courage to face consequences, the power of aligned purpose, or finding someone who loves your scars as much as your strength? If this story touched your heart, hit that like button and subscribe for more narratives about redemption, purpose, and finding love that transforms rather than consumes. Leave a comment sharing what you'd risk everything to protect: your reputation, your heart, or your truth. Remember, sometimes our deepest wounds become our greatest gift to others when we're brave enough to show them.